Hello Tarnished, you are viewing an analysis of Elden Ring's lore. In this part we will walk through the ruins of the first human civilization. Let's find out what the crucible of life really is and what is the true purpose of the greater will. The people of Nox who lived under the lands between among the two great rivers were far from the first people to settle there. First of all, this is indicated by the ruins of ancient architecture, radically different in style from the buildings that were built by Nox. Let's look for clues left to us by the first civilization. Let's start with a number of bas-reliefs that can be seen on ancient obelisks and stelae. They tell us the history of this civilization, showing episodes of their lives. The topmost image of the obelisks is difficult to recognize, but I found what is shown on it. These are stalactites that are in underground caves in which the ancient civilization was born. On the steles, in this place there is another bas-relief. In the center of the exposition we see a pattern object, and on both sides of it, among the trees, there are people. This image contains the main secret, which will serve as an answer to many questions. This is a copy of ancient Mesopotamia bas-reliefs. The tree of life was depicted in the center, resembling not so much a tree as some intricate pattern. It's believed that it was the plant of birth, the essence that contains all the information of life. Some even identify the symbol with DNA, which stores information about each creature's past and is passed on to descendants. Naturally, this image should not be taken literally. They say the tree of life stood in ancient Mesopotamia and everyone danced around it. No, this is an abstract symbol of faith in divine essence, the tree that gave birth to life. With help of this bas-relief in Elden Ring, the same sacred image is transmitted, which was center of the ancient civilization religion. Moreover, in the game you can find a stele which consists entirely of only these bas-reliefs. On its top is depicted the tree, but in a more familiar form for us. Next bas-relief shows people of the first civilization gathering fruit from the surrounding trees. Nature has fed man from the very beginning. Trees and other plants have been the key to survival. In the third image we see several tables around which people are standing. There are some items on the tables. In the center you can see a man holding a fruit similar to those in the previous bas-relief. This scene can be interpreted in different ways, but I will limit myself to what we are shown the life of the first people. The penultimate bas-relief depicts a certain sacrament. In the center there is a pedestal on which lies a tablet. On both sides are mirrored men holding babies in their hands. Opposite them with bowed heads are other people. It depicts the rite of baptism which has long been carried out in the Christian religion. The center of the rite is tablet, which we will talk about later. In the last image we see columns with people sitting between them. This is how saints are portrayed in Christian religions to this day. These images adorn the outer and inner parts of temples, antipendums, etc. They are easily recognizable and help us to better understand the religion of the first civilization. Taken together, these bas-reliefs tell us that ancient people were close to nature and enjoyed its benefits. Also, like the Sumerians, they considered the tree of life to be their progenitor. They had their own religion, whose similarity to Christianity makes it clear that it was of a monotheistic type, belief in one creator God. And who or what this God was, we will be told in more detail by the following artifacts. Other stele can be found among ruins of the first man. Let's take a closer look at them. On the first relief we see a bowl, above which is a pattern of stems and leaves. We have already seen that the sacred image of plants permeates civilization of first man. Another stele depicts a pair of lions leaning on a pillar around which weave patterns of stems. This image copies reliefs from ancient Byzantium, on which the tree of life stands in the center of exposition with lions. Even in Christianity, the Tree of Life was an important religious symbol. In addition to the floral motif on our stele, you can see the flame that burns on top of the central pillar. On side of this stele there is another hint. They depict the same pattern Tree of Life from the very first bas-relief. Thus we are shown a different appearance of the Tree of Life, the crucible. Yes, that crucible, but do not rush the things. In the ancient ruins we can also find a huge stone disc. For most it will seem like an ordinary decoration, but in fact it's a thread that needs to be pulled well to unravel the tangle of the first man. This disc is covered with various patterns and 8 marks are located at the very edges. Disc resembles a famous Mayan calendar, which was the heart of their civilization. What does this information give us? Another hint, the direction in which to look. An integral part of this civilization is the image of a sage holding a tablet in his hands. His giant statues can be found throughout the ruins. Roots stick out from his body. They go down and grab another tablet. It is an exact copy of the Babylonian map of world, created by the civilization of ancient Mesopotamia, the very one whose bas-reliefs we examined at the beginning. Thus, the image of the roots covering the world is imprinted in the statue. The wise figure of the elder is similar to the biblical prophet, Moses, who brought 2 stone tablets. The words of God, 10 commandments, were written on them. Our prophet also had 2 tablets. The first one depicted the world, and the second one depicted the Tree of Life, a simple rebus in which the world tree is encrypted. So, the first civilization believed in the only divine essence, the world tree. They believed that it was it that created all living things. It's very important not to stumble here. Any religion is a blind faith in a certain deity. A true believer doesn't need proof of its existence. As I have already said, the Tree of Life should not be imagined as a physical tree growing somewhere on earth. It's the spiritual image of the divine essence. It cannot be tangible, and the differences on its ideas prove this once again. On some images it's presented as a pattern Tree of Life, on the second as a crucible of life, on the third as an ordinary tree. What matters is not the form, but the essence. Remember tablet that was depicted on the penultimate bas-relief? Undoubtedly the Tree of Life was carved on it. The first civilization performed religious sacraments before the symbol of their faith. Now let's go back to the Maya and look at their creation myth. First, gods tried to fashion a man out of clay. Only the soft clay melted. The clay man had no strength at all. He could not move, so the gods destroyed it. Echoes of this part of myth can be found in depths of the dungeons. Weak mad people still live there. They are said to have served the first civilization and sought divine revelations. The second attempt of gods was creation of people from wood. They could talk, but they didn't have a soul. Soulless creatures did not honor their creators. The gods were angry with them and doused them with thick tar. Finally, they created new people from corn paste. It was a successful attempt. In our history, the creation of man stopped at the second stage. Some first men, if not all, had root shoots. One of these people is the same prophet from whose body roots grow. This explains why their religion is based around the Tree of Life. In addition to this, I want to show an amulet with plant growths. They are contained in aspects that gave birth to man in ancient times. This is partial atavism, a remnant of the original crucible of life, considered sacred in the ancient times but identified with filth in later civilizations. In Buddhism, the term aspects refers to the appearance of all things. As we know, the crucible of life also contains other aspects such as scales, wings and horns. It contains all life, the DNA of all the creatures that it gave birth to, but the aspects associated with the tree, the symbol of their fate, were the most sacred. You won't believe it, but the game has the name of this civilization. It lies right in the front of the player's nose. You just need to come to very heart of ancient civilization, to Acropolis. Walk along a narrow street and among the countless bas-reliefs pick up an unmarkable rune, the rune of Numen. It is a Latin term for divinity, divine presence or divine will. There is another word that has a similar meaning, Hebrew word Navi, the messenger of the divine revelation. It is from this word that the term prophet is derived. Every detail has a deep meaning. Every piece of the puzzle builds a whole picture in front of us. The Numens are the first people, the ancient civilization who worshipped the Tree of Life as their progenitor. The messenger of their religion was a prophet from whose body roots grew. I have already noted that all the Numens could potentially have roots, and Marika, who belongs to their genus, will prove this to us. While working on the announcement trailer, fulfilling the original task, the artist depicted the lower part of her body as a cluster of roots. However, Miyazaki later abandoned this image, as a result of which the mystery of Numen became almost impossible to solve. When creating a character, the Numens are described as the descendants or the inhabitants of another world. They are rarely born, but live long. The last sentence is very reminiscent of life of trees. In this description, the expression other world is confusing. It refers to the lands under the lands between. In fact, these lands are not part of it, as indicated by the maps of the great rivers. Also, not to stray far from Marika, let's take a look at her hammer, which was created in the lands of Numen. It is not difficult to see that it is made of rough stone and corresponds to the architectural style of the ancient civilization. We also know that Numens managed to spread their influence beyond the dungeon, having built their structures on surface of the lands between. Giant white trees that grew underground and were depicted in bas-reliefs can also be found on the surface. So, I already dismantled the great rune of Elden Ring in Farum Azula. I singled out the rune of roots separately and, as you may have noticed, did not talk about the divine essence what is behind it. Now we can say with confidence that the root rune is the personification of the Tree of Life. Moreover, I mentioned that the roots distribute life energy throughout the lands between. This symbolism is similar to the Tree of Life of the Sumerians. It's believed that not only the cosmic tree is imbued with divine life, but all life receives its support from the roots of this tree. After leaving Farum Azula, pregnant with Melina, Marika sets off to fulfill her destiny, to establish a new world order. In addition to the fact that she had to exclude all the outer gods from the order, she had one more task. She had to use the rune of the Tree of Life, the Crucible of Life, to nurture the Golden Tree. Why, you ask, and I will answer you. The great tree, whose roots will be able to spread throughout the lands between, will accumulate with life force of every creature. And due to the fact that death will be excluded from the order, the life energy will not be able to complete its cycle of death and birth. It will be sucked out of the lands between by the roots of the Golden Tree. All energies through this cosmic tree will be in power of one god, the Greater Will. This was its true plan, which Marika could not unravel in time. And this is not surprising, because the Greater Will intoxicated everyone with its power, grace. I am absolutely sure that the blinding gold of grace is a product of processing the life energy of various planets captured by this god. Marika apparently did not understand the consequences of the desired immortality of her subjects. The realization of the truth will come, but much later. Therefore, all she did was serve the greater will. For the golden tree, it was necessary to find a good place with enough resources for it to grow. This place was underground source of the great rivers. There were no ruins of Numen, but there was a small town of the people of Nox. It was subsequently destroyed by the root system of the golden tree. Finally, the rune of the tree of life was planted. It was Marika who allowed the golden tree to grow, and no one could do this task better than Numen, a representative of people who have worshipped the tree of life for centuries. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, like and comment. See you!